All right, cool. Well, let's kick it off. Let's close out Squid Game because Andrew's not going to be here tonight. He's busy for the rest of the month,
Mhm.
um, life stuff, and maybe he'll talk about it when he comes back. I don't want to spoil his parade,
I
but
think I already spoiled it for him by accident. Oops.
so so we'll let him talk about that when he comes back. But for now, he is out. So we Squid Game. So we talked about the first half last week.
Hmm.
I finished it, you finished it.
Yep.
Um what are your thoughts on the end of it? Because to be fair, you sort of kind of nailed the prediction last week.
Yeah, I think it's because I saw episode four
Hmm.
before. So like you finished off at three, I finished off at four. And I don't know, when I'm watching and seeing that baby. Yeah. Oh, by the way, spoilers, everybody. Don't
Oh
watch this
yeah.
episode until you've seen the end. Uh, just seeing how just completely focused and dedicated he is to that baby in episode four,
Hmm.
I just yeah, it kind of was apparent to me where I'm like, either he's gonna win with the baby together or he's gonna sacrifice the baby because that's just who Gihon is. And that's what we've learned about Gihon, um, just his character development
Hmm.
from the very beginning. He became a very selfless person. And yeah, I think I liked it. I liked it. I thought bravo to the writers because this was only supposed to be one season, and then I think Netflix kind of pushed them to write more and develop more, and that's probably why it took like 3 years, right? To come
Yeah.
up with
Yeah.
season two, which really was like a part one, and then the part two being season three. But um, I was satisfied with the ending, with the ending of the Squid Games themselves for that. Now, it left me with a few questions. Was that the exact next year of games, or was that a few years later? Had there been games in between? That's kind of where my mind was at because the frontman won in 2015.
Hmm.
Was that Squid Game 2021? And I don't know if that was supposed to be like 2022, but yeah.
The season three one?
Two and three technically
Yeah,
was like,
yeah, yeah,
I don't know if that was the year later or just a few years later, because also the daughter grew up a lot from
yeah,
season one to season
yeah.
three. So it made me feel like she was maybe like 9 or 10, and then she's like in high school
Yeah, she's
when we see
definitely
her.
a lot older. Um, and it seems like whatever the front man brought to her was, recent, right? Because you had his suit and it had the blood on it and all that.
Right.
So, um, it seems like, yeah, whatever that was pretty well after, and they didn't recast the daughter. So, yeah, you're kind of right there. They must be setting it in that time zone. So there must have been a gap at least between the two games. I don't know if the games are every year or if they're set
Every
like
few years or whatever
yeah, maybe
they
they're
don't
like the
explain that.
Olympics. Yeah, I don't know. Um, so yeah, that's a little left up in the air, but it seems like at least for now they're done in, Korea or wherever it is they were originally running because they kind of blew up their island, right?
Correct.
Um,
And he wanted it to be like finalized, like we're not going to continue this in Korea for now.
mhm. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought the games were fantastic I mean, we spoke about this in our last episode last week. Um, Key and Knife, which was like the hide and seek
Hmm.
one, that was interesting with like the Starry Night skyline or ceiling, excuse me. It was just whoever comes up with this stuff is a creative genius, truly. And the jump rope, which we talked about last time, and then the last game being like an elevated version of Squid Game, right? Because
Hmm.
it is a Squid Game, but in the air, and then including the, I guess technically nine, right? If we included the baby, nine finalists in this version
Yeah.
of the game.
Yeah, and just, how prevalent greed is, right? Like some of these people just couldn't ever just stop. Like they could have just stopped playing at any point, had a bunch of money and been good,
Right.
and they can't do it. And the
And
only
this is the
person
first,
that's yeah, the only person that's selfless is Giyun. Like he's the only one like legitimately willing to give up after he fought his way back, and to
yeah,
get there for this one.
agreed. But what were your thoughts on the ending? How did you feel?
I liked it. Um, it was a bummer, but I mean, I knew it wasn't going to have a happy ending. Like they'd pretty much all but
Yeah.
said that. I think, there wasn't a lot of ways for him to go out. Either it had to be what he did, or he had to take over as the front man. Like to me, those are the only two options that would have ended it, well. And I think for him to take over as the front man, I think they would have to break him down a lot, which they did, to be fair. But yeah, I think we would have needed to see him really kind of at the end of his rope, and so he, instead he throws himself off the edge for the baby, which the bummer is the downside is that had he stepped on that timer at any point beforehand,
I
like he
know.
could have won, and it was an interesting miss for him because he's usually so keen on the game, but having missed that, before that round technically started, it was the only option, right? He couldn't take them both into the end and split the money with the baby,
Correct.
um, which would have been ideal for him, because it would have given him a second chance at a family. Like he could have still given money back to his daughter. He still had
Yeah.
seemingly had some money, um, from the first games left over somewhere. Although
Well, we don't even know how much he spent, and that's the other thing too. I'm wondering, like, his daughter ended up getting I think it said 4.56 billion won. It's like, did he not spend any of that money in the amount of time since he won?
well, he put a lot of money into that hotel, and remember he like had a training facility, and he hired an army, and he was paying people to search for, just in the beginning of season two, like he was looking for the people playing the game in the subway, right? And he was paying a bunch of people to go out there. Like he had tons of people he was paying. So I mean, he was spending money, but he had a boatload of money. So I don't know how much, ultimately was left at the end before he went in, and where that money went. Um,
Yeah,
but
because you see her with the card. I assumed it was for 4.56 billion, but like you said, there's no way he didn't spend any money.
no,
Like,
he actually, no, he gave all that money to, um, the cop, right? Because no, it
Gihon?
wasn't his. Who else got money? Somebody else got money at the end
No, so yeah, so the detective got the money that for
because he got the
222 to
baby.
raise, he got the baby and the money that would have been for
That's
222
right. And so I
to
think
raise the baby. Exactly.
but okay. So what happens at the end then is that the 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 detective goes to the hotel. No,
His two
his
friends,
two
well,
friends go to the hotel. All the money's gone. The money that Giyun had before was there and it's gone. What we find out is the front man took that money and gave it to the daughter. So that's the money the daughter got. So there was a bunch of money left over. We don't know how much
hmm
because we never see her go to the ATM
right,
and try and cash it out, but
correct.
we know that's where that money went. And then the money from the game and the baby went to the detective. That's right.
Yeah. But I thought
Um,
the front man like stayed in that hotel, right? Like that's where he stayed between the games.
Maybe, I don't know.
There was some sort of significance with the hotel and there was money in that hotel. And then
Hmm.
those two guys, the friend of the detective who I guess had some involvement or was previously also a detective, and his friend, but they all like lost their jobs after this whole thing,
Hmm.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and one of them served 6 months, and that's why like they show 6 months later. Yeah, it was good. It was wild. Just amazing how all of those other guys that voted to stay in the game, how they all turn on each other.
Yeah.
In the triangle piece, which is the second step of
Yeah.
the final game, they called one. So I was watching it with my friend. I was like, "What is a lunchbox?" They call one guy the lunchbox. I'd never heard of that before. So funny. And they basically were like, we're just going to take the weakest guy, beat the crap out of him, make sure he's still alive, and then move him to the circle, which is the stage three, so that they could just like kick him off. And clearly that didn't work. And 333 is an idiot, an absolute
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah.
Just, well, that was fascinating to me how he just completely buckled under pressure, but he would have will like killed the baby regardless, even though he's like, it's my kid, it's my kid. It's like you were about to move to the circle, just you and him, and
Yeah.
leave Gihon on the triangle. So clearly we know what you would have done with that baby. So uh, it's he acts like he cares about the baby, but yet he was willing to drop the baby. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he had the brains to think that through,
Mm-mm,
and he wouldn't have thrown himself off the side, right?
mm-mm. He was not selfless. We know that. But I think the others thought that Gihon was willing to let go of the baby, and they sure were wrong.
Yeah. I think the investors or whatever you call them, I think they were ready to see that. Like they expected him to toss the baby, which like to me kind of means um they didn't really understand him. I think the only person that really did was the front man.
Did
Um,
he though? Because I think he was shocked by the ending too.
I think he was and wasn't. I think if Guillaume had pressed the button sooner and it had been between the three people up there, it had been between the kid's actual father, Guillaume, and the baby, then I think that would have gone a different way. Like he would have thrown the dude off, kept the money for the two of them, and whatever. But I think um, I think the front man knew who he was. Like I feel like he knew, and I feel like at the end, we essentially see him passing off the baton to uh, what's her bucket, who I love.
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett.
That was
Um,
like wild too. But granted, I saw her photo to be an
yeah, I
American
I
one,
had seen it before too. Yeah,
but I didn't know that they were going to stick this in to the end of this series. And also, I just thought like, whatever. I guess he's like, he's still going to be with the company, but here you're going to be the recruiter for the American games. I don't know.
yeah. Well, that's what I wonder. So are they? Is it necessarily the American games, or have they moved the games to America?
It's a
Right?
good point
Like, I
too.
mean, to be fair, all we've ever seen is, effectively Korean people in the games, which is suggest that game is only in Korea. Um, whereas, we didn't see any, English speakers. We didn't see any Indian people. We didn't see any black people. We didn't see any Mexican people. Like it was only Koreans,
Actually,
which
that's not true. Season one, Ali. But he, I guess,
okay,
was living in Korea at that time. What is it, 199? Is that his number?
maybe. Yeah.
The one who who basically saved Jihoon's life in the first game. Remember, he was gonna fall
mm,
and go red like green light, and he held him by the shirt.
Oh
That
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
super epic. But yeah, I think he was just living there, but was not born in, well,
Right,
clearly was
right.
not born in Korea. But so I was watching a recap on YouTube from just critics, and they had said, and there was this one scene, and you may recall it, how the VIPs in this season had said, "Oh, yeah, we've seen numerous games, but Korea is one of the best." So there
Oh,
are
okay,
other
okay.
games going on, and they acknowledge that, but Korea is something special about the one in Korea.
Yeah, that's where they made the show. I would imagine they
Say
could
whatever
do
they
them
want.
anywhere. Yeah, I still wish we weren't getting the USA version.
Same.
Like I don't mind even seeing the handoff to the next person, like suggesting there's an American version, right? Like I think that's fine. I don't need a season of it. I'll watch it. I'll see what it is when it comes out. I'm not excited for it necessarily. Um, but
Yeah,
I mean, I'll check it out. I like I said, I love Kate Blanchett. There's a
same.
lot of rumors swirling around about other people in there. One of the
I
people that I've seen
know.
rumored is like Selma Hayek, and A couple other people. So I
So
mean,
many other people. Joseph Quinn apparently is going to be in it. It's just
yeah,
like, but they didn't even start filming yet. So it's like, I think they didn't, they're going to start
yeah,
filming. They said in November, December. So this is all just rumors at this point.
yeah. I definitely when they're that far off from actually filming, and I have the same thing with Marvel. I just don't even bother with rumors right now. If you say X, Y, and Z is going to happen in this thing that hasn't started
Right.
filming, or maybe even has just started filming but doesn't release for like a year and a half, and it's super secretive. Yeah, I'm just not going to buy any rumors unless they come from very specific sources.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. I mean,
and
even like with Wicked for before it actually came out, there were so many rumors of who was going to be Wicked until they were actually showcasing uh Ariana Grande and
mhm.
Cynthia Erivo like on a carpet being like they're promoting the movie.
Yeah,
It's coming out like in a year. So other than that, I mean, we don't know. It's all speculative at this point. So, but they said David Fincher's going to be directing it, who's the guy who worked with Kate Blanchett and Benjamin Button. That's
that's
what I heard
really
that too.
interesting because David Fincher, I know he's got some kind of relationship with Netflix because he made the show Mindhunters, which is friggin' incredible. It's about like the first FBI team to basically use the label serial killer and start studying that. Before that, they were called, it wasn't pattern killers, but it's something like that. So there was serial killers weren't a thing by name until
Hmm.
the 60s or 70s.
Okay.
And so Mindhunter was this 2 seasons, I think, that was great. It was David Fincher directed it, created it, and then it was the guy that plays the king in Hamilton. It was basically the only white guy in
Oh,
Hamilton.
gotcha. I know who you're talking
And
about.
then another guy who's been around, and then Anna Torv plays one of the other people. And it uh, it was just really good. It was really intense. It was based on a true story. Um, and it was really good. And for whatever reason, like they were having budgetary issues, they were having timing issues,
Hmm.
all this stuff, and so it dropped off. But it seems like there's a potential that they're going to make a movie or two out of it to kind of finish the story. But that's David Fincher. David Fincher worked on that. If he is doing the US version for Netflix of Squid Game, then it kind of implies that he's got, a little bit of contract or something with them that he's going to work through.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's
so
it's listed in various pla Can you imagine if it's not true? That'd be so funny.
I would love for them to announce that they're just not doing it. That like
Yeah,
Kate
like
Kate
seriously,
Blanchett
just
was
stop.
yeah. I mean, I really I just would not be disappointed if they came out and said, "Hey, we're not going to make it."
Just kidding. It's a tease.
Yeah, yeah, we were just getting you guys on board, and
I almost
because
like didn't even like having her be the recruiter. They just it was wild, but also a little bit unbelievable that a woman dressed like that is just hitting a homeless man. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that.
it's San Francisco, so you just never know. San Francisco's a weird place, but yeah, it's definitely interesting for sure. And you're right. Like
God.
now that you say that, yeah, she's the recruiter, not the front man.
Mm-mm.
So like that's putting a big name out there for something that is maybe not that big of a part, really.
Unless they make the recruiter a bigger part in the American version, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild. The whole thing is wild. But yeah, and how about like 246, for example? He's really the only surviving player outside of the baby. And
Hmm.
luckily he has that North Korean woman to thank who
Yep.
really did not want to see him die in those games. So that was interesting.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. I totally forgot about that part of the story too, because she is now out looking for her own kid.
who they found out at the end, apparently she saw in files that the husband died and the daughter died, but then she got a phone call that the daughter's alive. So she's on a flight to China. And
Hmm.
that's just kind of open-ended. And then you see the North Korean girl, um, Beyonce, or the one who died in the first season, who made it to the final three, who passes away. She makes an appearance in episode 4 where he's about to stab um, the others that are the remaining finalists. And he sees like an apparition from like far away and hallucinates, and she's like, Mister, don't do it.
Hmm.
It's not
Hmm.
you. And it's just like, that's cool
Yeah. Yeah.
that they made that appearance.
Yeah, I'm glad they worked through the story with the dad and the daughter too, because that was just it was something they had to tie up. They started it in season two, so
Yeah,
like if they had left that hanging, that would have been a bummer. But they did a good job tying that one up, and having him get back with the daughter, and the daughter's getting better, um, and
right,
then and then yeah, I mean, for what this show is, I think it ended as well as it can. You can't have a happy ending, right? You just can't do happiness at the end, or at least not total happiness. But I mean, the his two buddies are going to be okay. You know, they're going to run the hotel. The detective now has a kid and a bunch of money.
right.
He can build himself a life now and be
Also,
happy.
the worst detective of all time. That guy was looking for the island way too freaking long, so
Yeah,
ridiculous. And the funny thing is, like, I've seen on Facebook and just comments of people commenting on, it, and they're like, "Wow, this guy got all this money for doing absolutely nothing, and he got a baby."
yeah, yeah,
Hysterical.
yeah. I don't know what the reason was for the front man to choose him as the baby daddy. I don't know. It's definitely a choice, I guess. But what the reasoning was, they just kind of skip over that. So
I thought I was going to go to the North Korean mother. Don't, did you ever feel that way?
yeah, I could have seen that happening. Like that should have, but I don't know. Does the front man know she escaped? I guess he did because they were calling her out by name on the boat, but I don't know if he knows that she's still alive.
Yeah. I mean, she
Um,
almost died by suicide. She killed like second in command guy who also
mhm.
apparently was from North Korea, and they had like, I guess, a friendship. That was that was an interesting side story. The whole boat situation with the captain, that took way too long. They
Yeah,
never went
yeah,
anywhere. Oh God, like yeah, for worst detective goes to him.
yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, it's certainly not a show that ended without any problems. You know, it definitely had a few issues, but for the most part, it was well done. I think the best thing they could have done with a third season was to actually just continue the second season, because like if you really look at this as a two-season show,
It
the
is a two
second
season
season is
show.
long, and there was a long break in between, but it's
Right.
two seasons. You have two complete stories, and you're good. They if they like I said, if they never made another one, this story is done. I don't think they did a disservice to any characters making this. I think everybody stayed kind of true to who they were, you know, beginning to end. So,
Or even like Excel. I mean, Gihon from like season one till now, he just transformed. And I think
mhm,
his character, well, how about the line that like stuck with me, right? That like pulled at my heart, a few pulled at my heartstrings, but particularly when the front man and him, like he pulls him out of like that room, them sleeping before the final challenge. He reveals to him who he actually is as
mhm,
player 001, and he gives him the knife, and Gihon's like, fine, but like, I don't trust you. And as he's leaving, he says, Gihon, do you still trust people? Do you know what I'm talking about? That
mhm.
that one line? Like, do you still have faith in people? I think that
Yeah,
was
yeah, I
the
think that's what it
line.
was. Yeah.
And I think that's a very important theme that we see revisited from the first season at the end when the old man is dying and they make a bet, him and Gihon, about like a homeless man sitting in the cold, and they said like, do you think anyone will help him? And they're
Hmm.
watching together out the window for hours. And Gihon has this light inside of him, and he's someone that, you know, I think there's a lot of people he doesn't trust, but I think that's why he becomes the person that's worth trusting
Yeah.
and being that good soul, because maybe he doesn't see it in others, but he's determined to be that good soul. And I think he had such a beautiful transformation from being the guy who lost all his money, who had selfish habits of gambling, who wasn't the best father to his daughter, unfortunately, who became someone that was respectable at the end or
Hmm.
worth respecting at the end. And I think he died and he even said like the line, "We are not horses, we are humans." And then as he's falling, humans are, and then we never know what he says in the end. But and that was the name of that episode, humans are dot dot dot. So
Yeah, I think the other tragedy too is
great.
that like he became a better man and no one will ever know. Right?
The
Like
front man knows.
the front man knows, like his daughter will never know. Like she got some money that she knows he left to her, but she doesn't know that her dad, and maybe he isn't a good person, isn't the right word, but like he became a better person than he was for sure.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah, that's true.
and
Because everyone that saw his good attributes is now dead.
right, exactly. Except for the front man who would never tell anybody because he can't. So,
Correct.
he'll, in the annals of time, he'll always go down as kind of a loser, right? But he redeemed himself as best he could and kind of moved on from there.
Yeah. But overall, I was happy when they originally said after the first season of Squid Games, I was reluctant to be open to a new season. I was like, why? It was so good. Oh, this guy's going back in. He's got survivor's guilt. Moron. Just get on the plane and go to America. Goodbye.
Right? Yeah.
With your red hair.
Very red hair. Yeah.
Very red hair. Like, what happened? Who convinced you? And why did you leave the hair salon looking like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you went straight back to your original color for season two.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think he learned a lot about people.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a story about humility and it's a story about, I think, learning to do the right thing, even if it's not what others are doing around you. And just being able to listen to your own voice. And I think he was definitely someone who developed his own voice over
Hmm.
the past few seasons. So, I mean, I can go into this further, and Andrew would probably be like, "Well, Myers-Briggs, and he's a ENF, IN, yeah, like or whatever it may be." Or, Andrew, we can talk about that another time. I'm sure you have your thoughts here. But nonetheless, it's just yeah, bravo to the director, the whole team. A job well done. This, I mean, they blew records. First three
Hmm.
days, 60 million.
Yeah.
60 million people watched the series within the first 3 days. And then they mentioned like within the first 6 months for season two, the first, I think, month or something like that. Just in all three seasons, they were breaking records. This
Yeah.
will, for hopefully a while, be just something that people talk about. And it really is a special series.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, like that's one more reason I just wish they weren't doing another one because they
So
nailed it. They
perfect.
did exactly what they were supposed to do. And even pushed it a little bit going into the second season. And
Yeah,
it worked. And they now run the risk of kind of tarnishing this legacy. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you can look at it with anything that has a huge fan base. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen it with Stranger Things at this point, but like to start to see people that are just negative towards something because it's been out there long enough, right?
yeah,
Um, so we'll see. Like I definitely expect haters for the American version before it even drops. I don't, I can't say anything bad about it because I haven't seen even a casting beyond Kate Blanchett, right? And I believe in David Fincher. Like if he's the guy, then I expect it to probably be better than I would have expected before. It's just at this point it's unnecessary. So if it's not done right, it's just going to be really disappointing.
I agree. So, but if this hasn't already, I mean, Korean dramas have been around for a while, but I think this really amplified and have
Hmm.
given people more of a reason to watch Korean made content now more than ever before.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think this definitely put that stuff on the map. And I think is Alice in Borderland Korean?
It's Japanese.
It is
Based on a
Japanese. Okay.
yeah, it's based on a
Okay.
manga, excuse
Hmm.
me. But that is Japanese. Again, you and I went back and forth talking about the first two seasons, and it's good, but I really think that something's, and correct me if you feel the same way, or you feel free to provide your opinion on this, but I think the character development is so much deeper in the 2 seasons, or really 2.5, three, whatever we want to call it, of Squid Game than in Alice in Borderland. I
Oh, I'd
feel
say
like
for
we
sure. Yeah.
we really get to know these characters more. Um, it's good, Alice in Borderland, but I don't think you can compare the two. I think Squid Game
Yeah.
is just another, because they're all involved in the same games, whereas with Alice in Borderland, it's like separate vignettes, like they may
Hmm.
all be in different games and everyone may survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not w one of those situations where Um, I mean, the games are fascinating to watch too, but also the ending sucked in season. Like, I thought that was just tr such a dumb ending with season two. I don't even know how they're gonna come up with the
Yeah.
season
It makes no
three.
sense. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I'm gonna watch it because I'm curious, but I really have low expectations.
I mean, I couldn't even think of something so bad of an ending of it being. It was some sort of natural disaster, and those that died were the ones that died from the natural disaster were the ones that died in the games, and this was all like a dream when they were in the hospital. I'm sorry, like this is not
Yeah, that was a weird take on where it
so
went.
weird. I thought like they would go back to normal once they finished the last card and they would just appear again. It would be almost like Back to the Future. They'd begin again like at that same spot with I just thought it was more of just time was moving much quicker in Alice in like the Borderland world than it was in current day Tokyo.
Yeah.
But nope, it was a natural disaster and everyone who died from that natural disaster was in the game and everyone that lived that was somehow in the game is somehow waking up in that hospital.
Hmm.
But it seems like it was only Arisu's point of view, because they didn't make it
Yeah.
seem like because they Arisu did not know the other girl who he became close with, right? They didn't
Hmm.
recognize each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of need to when the third season comes out, I think I need to do a rewatch just to do a rewatch.
Yeah.
Just to be up to date.
hmm But left me with a lot of questions and just maybe like just what was this for? This was a like a crap ending, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
with Squid Games, I just thought they put like a bow on it in such a beautiful way, and then they sent it off and yeah, so I don't think you can compare the two. And there are people that say, "Oh, Alice in Borderland is way better than Squid Game," and I just don't see how
Yeah,
with that
I don't
ending
think I
specifically.
agree. Yeah. Like I said, I enjoyed Alice in Borderland. I do think the second season was worse than the first season. If I'm putting the two next to each other, I mean, for me, Squid Game is the hands down winner.
Same.
So yeah, I don't think I agree with that particular
Do you
assessment
feel
that,
like a certain way about Arisu? Like I don't get that, character development. Like I feel like we all, I don't say we all, but Jihoon is someone that we rooted for, we loved. Like I didn't feel like that with Arisu. I'm like, okay, great. Like if he dies, whatever. Like I don't know.
yeah, I feel like, we see Giyun take a bigger beating too, like just emotionally and everything.
Yep.
Um, and so we feel for him in a way that we don't necessarily feel for Arisu because Arisu, I think, is feels so capable like the whole time.
Right. He's the
Um,
development because it's like a video game and that's all he was ever good at, like
yeah,
prior to this world, right? But it's also when we come to find at the end, it's all like was in his head, I guess, almost like his own dream. So obviously he's going to be the center of his own dream.
yeah,
So whereas like Squid Games was not a dream, it was a real, well, in their world, a real thing that happened. And yeah, so we'll see. I'll probably watch it too, but I'm going to be like very nitpicky
yeah.
about it and be like this, whatever. We'll see what happens. So yeah.
All right, cool. Then all right, then we'll move on. I'll go next real quick because I watched Jurassic World Rebirth, which came
Cool.
out this week. in theaters, and it is a continuation of the Jurassic World story. Um, it kicks off just kind of right out of the jump. It sets us, in modern day in that world. But we're at a point now where dinosaurs have been out and about for a while. And the story is that people now just kind of see them like regular animals and are just kind of bored of dinosaurs. Like the people just don't care anymore. They're less fascinating now that they're real. So people don't even care about museums and dinosaur bones and all that because they've have now lived with dinosaurs. And because they just clone the DNA, so the dinosaurs are essentially the exact same creatures they were, millions of years ago. Well, as it turns out, they are physically not able to handle our environment the way that it is. And so all of the dinosaurs have either died out or moved towards the equator, where it is the most like their old environment. So, they're slowly kind of dissipating. Like we're seeing fewer and fewer dinosaurs. And so this movie opens up with this guy, which is Rupert Friend. He's been in some other stuff. He's been around for a while, and he hires Scarlett Johansson's character, who is a former mercenary or current mercenary. He offers her, I think, $10 million to procure something, and doesn't quite tell her what it is. But he works for a pharmaceutical company who is looking to um, not necessarily cure, but improve heart disease. And to do that, they need DNA from three different dinosaurs. And all these dinosaurs are in a very specific location that they have to go to. So they find Jonathan Bailey, or they already know Jonathan Bailey, who's been working on the research, but they tell him, hey, we need you to come with us because you're the expert. They have a whole thing where they talk him into it.
He's the
And
dinosaur expert. He's
yeah,
the medical. Okay, he's the
yeah,
dinosaur
he's the
expert.
dinosaur expert. There is no,
Paleontologist.
yeah, there's no true medical expert in this. They do indicate that Jonathan Bailey's character was a student of or a coworker of Alan Grant from the original
Mm,
movies, and so they head off to a tropical location to hire a boat driver, which is Mahershala Ali, and they go from there to head out to the island. Now, at this point, we can see that everybody's former military. Mahershala Ali and Scarlett Johansson have a past friendly relationship, not romantic relationship. They both kind of talk about how they have lost their loved ones doing the things that they do, right? They're kind of either mercenaries or at least people for hire in other industries.
right.
And and this is in the trailer, the reason they hire Mahershala Ali is because he is very good at taking people into places that are not supposed to be. And so that's the other thing is that all of the governments of the world have basically agreed that this band around the equator is like a no-fly zone. You can't go there. If you go there, it's criminal. Just leave the dinosaurs alone, let them die out or live or whatever, but they're happy
Right.
there, we're happy here. Let's call it good.
Hmm.
And so the reason that they're going to this island, as we come to find out, there are three of the largest species of dinosaurs, one land, one sea, one air. They don't really explain why they have to be land, sea, and air. They do explain that the reason they want the biggest ones is because they have the largest hearts, and some of these dinosaurs lived easily over 100 years or more just naturally. And so what they're trying to do with heart disease is take this DNA, research it, figure out what made those hearts stronger so that they can use it and hopefully apply that to humans. At least that's what they say.
Hmm.
Now, I'm going to try not to be too spoilery as I go. If you've seen the trailers, as this um as this mission starts to go along, if you see in the trailers, there's like a kid on board. They don't launch with a kid. What we come to find out is there's a family that is trying to swim or not swim, boat across the Atlantic. They do it all the time. They're in a sailboat. They've done it multiple times. This time they get upended by a mosasaur, which is an ocean-dwelling dinosaur, and they send out a mayday because Mahershala Ali's character is inherently good. He's a good guy. He hears the mayday. Rupert Friend, who is the money guy, is like, "Nah, screw him. Let's go finish our mission. Then we can go back for him. I'm sure they'll live." Soup, and Mahershala Ali's like, "Nope, we're gonna go save them." So they turn around, go get these people, which immediately puts them in just as much danger for the rest of the movie as they were if they had been left on the boat that was sinking. But
Yeah.
um, chaos ensues, and so the rest of the story is them, getting their samples, getting to the island. The family gets separated from the researchers or the mercenaries, and so we have two kind of branching stories that have to come back together at the end. Um, and I don't know if it was too much to have that in there. It definitely made the movie longer. It's about a 2.5 hour movie. I feel like it probably could have been 15 minutes shorter, just with a little basic editing. The family is a cool bit. I guess the father is the main character in the show Lincoln Lawyer, which is on Netflix. The older daughter, I swear I've seen her somewhere before. They're traveling with her boyfriend, who is like must be what Benny Blanco looked like as a teenager. Like and he's kind of a dumbass and a pain in the ass, but he is funny enough. Me and my youngest looked at each other as soon as he started talking because he reminds me exactly of my middle son. And so we were laughing at that. And I mean, this is a Jurassic World movie, so definitely people don't make it, right? Like there's people that don't survive. There's a whole bunch of plot armor and a lot of people that you expect to see to the end. There's a great moment at the end that is very emotional and all that that um, kind of gets undone, and it was kind of a bummer. I kind of wish that they hadn't done that. There would have been more impactful at the end. And there's just a lot of things that sort of happen that, definitely keep people alive in situations they probably shouldn't have survived.
Right.
Um, which is very much a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie. I mean, you kind of have to accept that your heroes are going to, for the most part, probably survive this experience. That's what happens in all the movies. But I can say for me, as far as Jurassic films go, this is one of the better ones. I think it was definitely better than the last two Jurassic World movies. Um, the acting is really solid. Scarlett Johansson's great. What I like in this one, like it's really easy to take Scarlett Johansson and make her the sexy character, right? Because she is very pretty. She's, curvy. She's got all that going for her. They really don't do that with her in this. They really just kind of let her act. Yes, she's pretty because she's Scarlett Johansson, but we don't like it doesn't come up. It's like not talked about it.
Right. They don't
Nobody's
dress her a certain way. They're like
yeah,
trying to make her be the sex
yeah,
icon here.
and it doesn't come up in conversation. Like people aren't like trying to flirt with her or anything like that. Or I
Hmm.
mean, Jonathan Bailey's character kind of does. Like they sort of have some moments, but they're definitely like more subtle. Like you can tell that they kind of like each other because they're from different worlds and all that. But it's not just because like she's so pretty that he can't help himself or anything like that. Like she's just, and to be fair to Jonathan Bailey's a very good looking guy too. Like he's very charming and very handsome.
Right.
And they don't really lean to that. Like he's very dorky. She's very like smart and tough. Like she's incredibly tough. Mahershala Ali's character is great. All the acting is really on point, even with the younger family and all that. The acting is just really solid.
Yeah.
And I think this movie really benefited from not having a Chris Pratt type character like the Jurassic World movies had. Even though I don't dislike his character, it takes away some of the silliness from the other ones that allowed this to be a more dramatic movie. And
Mm.
so again, it's unrealistic for sure. You have to suspend disbelief in a lot of places and all that. But I think by being less funny, it still works. And everybody that's in it has, a moment or two where they are funny. Like there's definitely some humor in this
Hmm.
movie. It's not dry and boring, but it's not like you don't have somebody that's crazy witty like Chris Pratt that's sort of
Right.
too funny for the situation. And so I think that was really great. And then yeah, just overall it was just really good. I think one of the things that I think is really great about it too, if you know that Jurassic Park and Jurassic World exist and you just know the vagueness of what they're about, you could go see this. This isn't a film that you are required to have seen
All of them.
all six movies and then the
Right.
two Netflix shows, even though my son went back and rewatched those because he's a huge Jurassic Park fan.
Hmm.
Um, Not necessarily. Like if you just understand the dinosaurs are back because of some scientists,
Yeah.
that's really all you need.
Hmm.
And then if you have any kind of knowledge of dinosaurs, that makes it more fun. But it really
I'm
is a
sure.
very accessible movie in that regard. And so, all in all, it was really good. Like I would give this like a high sevens kind of rating. And as far as Jurassic films go, it's like an eight. It really is one of the better ones and it was solid. It ends in a weird spot. Like I don't know if they're going to spin off from this one and do more films, or if
Yeah.
this is going to be a one-off. I think I saw that um, the three mains, so Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, and
Jonathan Bailey.
Jonathan Bailey. I think they're all signed for potentially more films. So there may be more coming down the pipe. I mean, if this one does well, I haven't paid attention to the box office on it yet. But if this one does well, I mean, I assume they'll make another one.
Yeah.
Um,
So critics gave it a 51%, 72 from the audience. I'm reading through the critics. Some say the ones that do like it say that it's the best one since the originals. So
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if,
Another thing too that I think is worth criticizing is I think some of the special effects weren't as good as they have been in the past.
okay.
There's just a few things that feel like they needed one last layer of touch up. Like some of the dinosaurs just you can tell they're CGI, whereas I
Hmm.
mean, even in the first one, like almost 30 years ago, it just felt so real. And there's some moments in this one where you're looking and you're like, yeah, that's definitely CGI. Or when the blue screen or green screen just didn't quite hit right. Like you could see kind of the difference between layer one and layer two. And I definitely think like if I'm
Hmm.
critiquing it, that I'd critique it more on that than anything else.
Hmm.
So I think from a critical standpoint, I could see that bothering some critics also. Again, the story, it's a Jurassic Park story, Jurassic World story, so it's definitely convenient in a lot of places. Things aren't, um, there's high stakes all over the place, but at the same time, like you feel like your people are going to make it, so the stakes aren't
Right.
necessarily that high.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, it's fun. It's a great summer blockbuster movie. I hope it does well at the box office. For me, if they spin off of this and do one or two more movies, I'm gonna go see them. So
Yeah,
it was fun. So I definitely recommend it, especially if the Jurassic Park thing is your jam.
for sure.
Um,
And I know like in New York City, they definitely were marketing it well. They set up a nice display in Rockefeller Center with having the dinosaurs. I haven't seen it in person. I've just seen through social media, but yeah, if you're getting like a nice presence in New York City, they're definitely trying to get people to show up and pay for a seat in the theater, which I think is awesome. And clearly it worked. Did you bring your whole family or just one of your sons?
it was just me and my boys. So all three of my boys and me
Oh, three of your boys.
went, and
Nice.
yeah. So looking at this, I don't know if this is domestic, so it's already made $82 million. I don't know what the budget was. So I assume it's probably gonna have to do probably a lot more than that to break even. But an 80 million Fourth of July weekend isn't terrible. From what I'm seeing, I think Superman's actually going to have a better opening weekend next weekend. There's a lot of things projecting it like 120 to 130 million, which is a great first weekend. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
this was a lot of fun. I think the biggest issue that they're going to have too is that they are immediately going up against Superman next weekend. Whereas the Fantastic Four was smart enough to say, "Hey, let's give ourselves 2 weeks
Hmm.
after Superman, so people can go see their stuff and then come out." So, but this one was a lot of fun. I think um, when it comes out on streaming or on video, I'll definitely watch it again. And it fits into the overall, like overarching Jurassic story just fine. But like I said, I do like the fact that it doesn't require you to be the most knowledgeable Jurassic Park fan ever.
Sure.
So it's good in that regard.
Yeah,
So,
100%. And what do you know about, oh, I'm just curious with this new Superman movie because I haven't seen really any previews for it. Um, is this supposed to be like a new version of it, or
oh
I
yeah,
guess what do we
yeah.
know about
So
this?
with Superman, James Gunn is taking over. He did the Guardians of the Galaxy movies for Marvel, and they are doing a full reboot of all the DC Comics stuff. So Superman, this is the
Okay.
first one. It's a brand new Superman played by David Corenswet. Um,
Hmm.
uh, oh my God, how am I forgetting her name? But Miss Maisel. Um,
Rachel Brosnahan.
yeah, Rachel Brosnahan is Lois Lane.
Nicholas Holt is
Nicholas
Lex
Holt is
Luthor, it
Lex
looks like.
Luthor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Nathan Fillion's in this. Like, they're one thing that they're going to do that I think is really smart because otherwise you're just wasting time. Is they're not starting with an origin story.
Hmm.
The idea is that at this point in real life, just outside of movies, everybody knows where Superman came from. I mean, the dude's been around for almost 100 years. We
Yep.
know the story. So they're going to skip that. This is about 3 years into Superman's existence on Earth and
Hmm.
or as Superman. He's been on Earth since he was a kid, but
Hmm.
he's been out as a superhero for a handful of years. And so it's a new story with a bunch of characters. It's going to be really lively.
Hmm.
I think um, James Gunn, who usually does a lot of humor, has said that this is going to be less silly than his Guardians movies. He said doing Guardians 3 especially really taught him that he can lean into emotion more to make a good movie than just humor, which he's really great at.
Hmm.
So he's gonna lean into a little more emotion. This is also the first movie that he's made in a long time that will have a true like orchestral soundtrack. Like all the
Hmm.
Guardians movies were made with like they're effectively like a mixtape for the soundtrack. They're all music from different eras that he loved that he put into the movie. And he said this is not the needle drop movie. This movie is going to have an actual soundtrack. And to be fair, that's actually one of the other complaints that I had about Jurassic Park.
Hmm.
I felt like the soundtrack was just kind of there, and in a lot of cases, they just did really weak variations on the
Hmm.
original soundtrack, which it's hard because the Jurassic Park theme song is so iconic when it comes to these movies that you kind of have to reuse it. I
Hmm.
just feel like they didn't try very hard on it. I think they could have done a better job with that in this also.
Right.
So,
Nice.
yeah,
Well, yeah, maybe I'll see it. We'll see. I'm sure that it's after, and that was probably intentional, right? Like having this come up after July 4th to make sure that more people are home versus when
yeah.
people are often
Well,
at the beach this week.
this one actually released, Jurassic Park released on July 2nd. So they're taking advantage of people having more time off through the weekend. So the numbers I said,
Sure.
82 million, is actually an estimate only through Friday. So that doesn't actually take into account today's and tomorrow's sales.
Oh.
So it could break 100 million by the end of the
Oh,
weekend.
I would think it would because I think a lot of people are trying to get back, if not tonight, then by tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Or at least to beat the traffic back. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it should do pretty well, and then hopefully, we'll see what happens. Like I said, with Superman coming out, that's going to be a big one. I hope it doesn't eat into the sales of this one too much, but I also want to see that one succeed. So it's a little kind of catch 22 there. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
cool.
so all right, cool. Well, then we can move on to the next thing, which is your trip to the movie theater,
Yay!
which was obviously stellar. So,
So much fun. So I went back for Megan because gosh, Megan has that appeal. For those who had not seen Megan, it came out in early 2023 and it got a lot of people I think were just interested in seeing this evil doll, right? It was different than what I think people had seen in the past when it came to horror because you think of Annabelle or you think of like I don't know, Chucky, just like different types of dolls and Megan's a robot, but like a very attractive, like innocent looking robot that is gifted to a young girl who has suffered the death of her parents. And the maker of the actual technology of Megan was the aunt of this girl who suffered this tragedy, right? So this continues after Megan malfunctions and uh, kills a number of people in the first one. They end up, pulling the plug on Megan and killing Megan at the end of the first movie. But you realize at the end of the first movie, like they still have like her code is still embedded somewhere. Like they didn't
mhm.
fully like they killed her form, but she's still a alive or like still existing in like a code form somewhere. So movie two starts and you see that the military gets a hold of they basically implant in like a real human, someone who I think was like a Russian refugee or something, who dies, and then they decide let's like do this experiment like Frankenstein style on this dead person and give her militaristic capabilities and just above and beyond when it comes to intelligence. And then they craft Amelia, who is more human looking, obviously, because I think originally she has like a human body. And they make Amelia into this pretty powerful tool that was going to be used from the government. And then things start going haywire when she kills somebody that was not on the agenda of their initial plan. And then she wanders off, and that's when they take you to Gemma, who's played by Allison Williams, and then um, her niece. And that actress actually, it's interesting. I just saw her the week before or 2 weeks before in Life of Chuck. So she's definitely, getting some new acting opportunities, which is great. Violet McRoberts, she plays Katie, the little girl. And then you have um, the same two people who were working in the lab as the first season, like her two, I guess, coworkers. They end up moving their lab that was like once in that toy store factory company to their home, to Gemma's home. So they work out of her home and they're working on like different new technologies using AI, but putting in, those stoppers so that these toys don't become too smart. Or it's not even just toys now, like they're doing just real assistive technology that they're building with the AI component, but making sure that it doesn't get too smart where it turns on them, because that's where they went wrong in the last film with um, creating Megan. So once Amelia runs loose, things get really bad, and knowing that Gemma has like a very wide range and knowledge of AI technology, this AI Amelia starts to come after Gemma at one point, and her, I guess, friends manage to escape and like go back to her home. And Megan, who still exists in a code form, ends up saving them and bringing them down to this layer in their home that they didn't really know existed, but Megan like kind of created like the code created on like a rainy day for a rainy day when something bad would happen. It's almost like this um layer, like almost like a bomb shelter within their home that's just like below. And she recreates like Katie's room and puts all of her favorite things in Katie's and this is like a few years later, mind you, after this whole like see first sorry, first movie ended. So Katie's older, but at least like she's in maybe like middle school now. So she's at least like 4 or 5 years older, even though the film was like 2 years ago, whatever it may be, right? And so at this point, Gemma's like, well, I don't know what we're gonna do because Amelia's like trying to take over the world. And then they're like, all right, so let's do this. Let's see if we can bring Megan back, but make sure she doesn't like get out of control. So they work and they bring Megan back. And as you can imagine, it's Megan versus Amelia, go head to head, and then you come to find that Amelia is built not just by the government, but by people that Gemma had trusted and believed were a part of the, protective security and technology community that doesn't want toys and robots to take over, but they get selfish and they end up doing it anyway. And Gemma's really the only person, Allison Williams' character and her colleagues are the only ones that really truly care about humanity and truly believe that yes, we should be able to have these AI built tools, but not let them be the user at the end of the day. They just need to be used by us as humans, but they can't take over. So, yeah, overall, as far as I'm concerned, this was like a Terminator 2, but put in Megan form. So if you've seen Terminator 1, Megan was Terminator in Terminator 1, and then Megan became good, fighting evil and outside threats in Terminator 2, aka Megan 2. That's literally what it is. But for me, it was a bore, and I nodded off in the beginning. I was not about it. And of course, they had her do another dumb dance, and they made it like even just what came out of her mouth was just overly just exaggerated and not like they just were looking for, I think, more of a and they marketed this pretty heavily too. If you
Hmm.
had seen in AMC like for a couple of months now before Nicole Kidman comes out in her silver suit, they'll have Megan say, "Put your phones away or else," and they
Hmm.
have like Megan come out. So they're definitely preparing for this movie, but for me, it was kind of a snooze, just very anticlimactic. We knew what was going to happen. It was Terminator 2. We knew that Megan was going to be good now because she came back into, they rebuilt her and they made her stronger and better, but it was more so just to defeat this larger threat. And that's it. Don't see it. I mean, go see it if you want, but I just saved you an hour and a half, 2 hours plus of your time to tell you don't see it.
Yeah, I think it bombed at the box office, if I'm not
Sucked.
mistaken. It didn't do very well. And one of the things that I saw that was really interesting is the creators basically said they're like we after the first one, after the success of the first one, they said basically said they thought they were untouchable. They're like we thought we could do anything because this character was so loved and we were very wrong. And so it just didn't.
But she's not the same character. The actual storyline of the first one, it's it's this doll is made in like a case study format in a for like a toy technology company for someone that suffered great loss. It had more depth. This is just more of like AI versus AI. It felt like useless. It was
Yeah.
not a storyline anymore. It was more of there was no real character development in this one. It was just, well, Megan's good now and we're going to program her and she's going to be fine. She's going to fight this other threat. And that's it. And I just wasn't about it. Just horrible.
Yeah, I think too. I think the first one was really built kind of as a horror film,
Correct.
and this one's more of an action.
Correct. This wasn't scary at all.
Yeah.
Not scary at all. The first one, like, okay, I guess it falls into the horror category more so because it's like a doll that ends up going violent. But I didn't find it to be that scary. Like there are some weird scenes with her like crawling like in a way that like she looked like The Grudge, right? Like in certain
Hmm.
like in
Yeah.
that one scene where she like is in the woods, like that part's like a little freaky. You don't get that in this film. Like you said,
Yeah.
it's very action packed. It's like I don't know. It's like it's almost like an iRobot or just one of those where they're just I don't know, building technology and are having one technology fight the other technology for the good of the earth, whatever. It's so lame, Kevin. Don't see it. Don't waste your time, your money, your energy, your brain cells. Just don't do it. I did it for you, and you're welcome.
Yeah. You say that, but as soon as it's streaming somewhere free, I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's because you like watching shitty
I do
stuff.
like watching shitty stuff.
But that's your journey and that's
Yeah, that's
your
right. That's
thing.
right. Yeah, I definitely there's a lot of things that I have watched that I would that I've even enjoyed for completely wrong reasons that I would not recommend anybody else. So
Yeah, but it's
yeah,
not good. It's just not good. And like you said, you're absolutely right. The first one was billed as more, and there were definitely some scenes where it's like, yeah, don't take your kids. It's definitely a little bit creepy and weird, but I think it was kind of like the appeal of that. It appealed to a lot of the LGBTQ community. I think that's partially why they rolled this out in June, right?
maybe.
Like
Yeah.
for Pride Month. So
Mhm.
I don't know, but it, like she does her one little dance at the like robot convention, and then it's like, okay, great, and it's not even like that great. It's stupid.
All right. Well, all right. Then I will finish out the show with a movie that sounds like it was better than that.
Okay.
At It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Heads of State. And this stars John Cena and Idris Elba. And what fascinates me is this movie is an action comedy for sure. Like no question. You look at the trailer and you're like, okay, this is going to be fun. It's going to be dumb. There's going to be lots of explosions. This is a higher rating than Jurassic World Rebirth across the board on IMDb, on Rotten Tomatoes, critics, audience. I do not think this is a better movie. Um, I am not even sure it's a more fun movie. I enjoyed it very much considering I didn't pay for it. It's like I said, stars John Cena, Idris Elba, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, Patty Considine, who I just talked about a couple weeks ago, and he was the main guy in the first season of House of the Dragon. Carla Gugino shows up. Stephen Root is one of the main characters. Jack Quaid is in it for a little bit, and he's great. Just overall, like this movie is fun, but it's not good. Uh, the gist of it is that John Cena is a relatively new United States president. He was a movie star, an action star, got voted into the office because he everybody loves him. Like he is a great action star, did some really popular movies, and just very charismatic, very John Cena, right? Like funny, a big guy. Everybody likes him. In the UK, the prime minister is Idris Elba. He is been doing this for 6 years, so he's not new. He's been doing this for a long time. Definitely very disenchanted with the whole process. He still wants to make the country better, but he sees John Cena's character as a moron. Like this guy has no idea what he's doing, no idea what he's getting into, far too happy about his gig, whatever. And so the movie opens up. They're going they're meeting in the UK. They're going to go fly over into France, I think it is, for a NATO conference. And um, and so they immediately just butt heads. So they're at they have this first press conference they do together. They end up kind of bickering at the press conference, and you can just see there's this divide between these two guys. And so when they're getting ready to leave to go to the NATO conference, they one of their aides suggests that they fly together on Air Force One to show some unity after this meeting. So both of them are on the plane going to the NATO conference. As they're going, this huge gunship comes flying out of the clouds and shoots the Air Force One down. They manage to, with the help of a Secret Service agent, they escape the plane before it crashes. Everybody else on board basically dies. So you have John Cena and Idris Elba are now in the middle of Eastern Europe, kind of surviving on their own. And I mean, basically the rest of the journey is lots of action. These two, you know, this they form a love-hate relationship, and of course, by the end, they're going to be buddies. Like that's how it goes. Um, and I mean, I can go into the movie, but that is really the gist of the movie. It's a buddy cop movie of like every other kind, right? Um, the performances are a lot of fun. I think Idris Elba does well in comedy because he's a good dramatic actor. And I think he plays a very dry comedic role. John Cena knows exactly who he is in a way that I think benefits him a lot. Like he's never gonna be because we remember we talked about how like Dave Bautista's trying to become a better actor. Like that's what he wants to do. He wants to, elevate his skill. He would like to win awards. Like he wants to be a great actor. That's his goal, and I think that's awesome. I think he actually has the talent to make a lot of progress in that. And I've talked about how like The Rock is just always The Rock. No matter what he thinks he's doing, his character is always The Rock. And I think John Cena is similar to that, but I think he knows for a fact he's always John Cena. Like he's always kind of doofy, always funny, and he's just like he knows it when he's making a movie, he's making it to entertain and and to have fun. And I think that's exactly what he does in this. Um, I think he's one of those people that is intelligent enough to not take themselves too seriously, and just have a good time. I think Idris Elba has actually kind of become that guy too. Like he has done some action stuff that is more outside his wheelhouse. Like the first time I remember seeing him was in Luther, which is a British cop show. It's great. He's amazing in it, but it's very, very drama, very heavy drama. And this, as he's branched out, he's become funnier, become more action oriented, things like that. And and so as this movie goes on, these two, they're on the run. They come to a safe house in Poland that's run by an American played by Jack Quaid, who is maybe one of the best characters in the whole movie, even though he's only in it for about 15, 20 minutes. Tons of fun. He does a really great job. And then they're on the run again. We get to back to the NATO conference during this NATO conference because they got shot down. When they got shot down, the bad guys that shot them down also stole a bunch of secrets from NATO in general, and they released them all to the public, which all shows all these NATO countries are spying on each other, are infiltrating each other, doing all these things that the NATO pact specifically says they should not be doing. So basically, NATO's about to disband in this whole like couple of days where these two heads of state are now supposedly dead. And from there, it's just them trying to get back and save the day. And it really is just an action movie. Like it does. There's a few sets that are very much like a soundstage. Like I think when they first crash land and they're trying to save themselves, like it doesn't look very like realistic as far as it being like a foresty location they're trying to get out of. But after that, the sets stay relatively real when they're traveling across the country. It looks very, very European, very pretty. I don't know where they shot it, but it looks really solid. The action sequences are great when they're serious. They're a lot of fun when they're not. Um, it's another movie that is absolutely preposterous. Like you just know your two heroes are going to survive no matter what. Like they could literally like fall into a volcano and like 20 minutes later one of them, they'll come out the other side. Um, and so you know it's going to happen. There's a couple of twists in there that I don't think are overly brilliant. This movie's not trying to outsmart you, even though it's kind of keeping, like the carrot and stick thing. Like it's trying keeping some of the plot like right out of your eye line there. But if you're paying attention, you'll figure it out pretty quick. So it really is just a fun like afternoon movie. I think that's when we watched it. We actually watched it as a family with our barbecue on July 4th, right? Like we just sat down and watched it together. The runtime is an hour and 56 minutes, so it's probably a little longer than it needed to be. Um, but it was a lot of fun. I really I didn't hate it. I wouldn't say I loved it. I would say that if you like action comedies, check it out. If you don't like action comedies, then don't waste your time. It won't be for you. Um, and it's silly. Like it's just at no point in this movie is it realistic. No point. The politics aren't realistic. Um, but I talked about Idris Elba and John Cena. Patty Considine plays the bad guy. Um, Definitely, um, again, a more humorous take on the villain than he's done in some other stuff. But he does a good job too. Like he is definitely kind of plays the sinister guy really well. Like I said, Jack Quaid is over the top and hilarious. He's great. So it really is. It has its moments where it's definitely a lot of fun. Some great fight sequences. Um, Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who I have seen in things in the past, and I've not always been super impressed with her acting. I think she's gorgeous. I think she's one of those people that you just look at and you're like, she's one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. But like some of her acting hasn't been great. I think she did well in this for what it was. So I think she was fine. She had some kick butt action sequences, so she did really well in that regard. But yeah, if you don't have anything else to watch on streaming, if you've already watched Sinners, which is now on HBO, so if you haven't seen Sinners, go watch that on HBO. Like if you're just looking for something to watch, that's a good time killer, that's a lot of fun, but not something you have to invest in any way. This definitely fits the bill. You'll have a good time with it. But like I said, if action comedy isn't your jam, then you won't love this. But it kind of reminds me of something like Tango and Cash with Stallone and whoever it was back in the day. I think it was Kurt Russell. But like those kind of action comedy movies, this totally fits into that. And so if you've got the time, it's right there and you've already paid for it if you got Prime. So give it a shot. Um, but for me, that is all I have. I think next week I should see Superman before we record, so I'll be able to talk about that next weekend. I didn't finish Ironheart this week. I'll finish it next week, so I can give kind of a final take on that one. Although um, I think I kind of stand with most of the people that I've seen. This is one of the better Marvel shows in the last little bit. Definitely surprised me. I'm excited to actually see the ending. I kind of know what happens at the ending from spoilers and stuff that were released. But I'm excited to actually finish that one. Um, I'm trying to think what else is out there. For anybody that has ever listened to me talk about Love Island, I am almost done with this season of the US version, and it is heartbreaking for me to say that this season has been god awful in the US version. Last season was incredible. It was one of the best seasons they've had in either country. This season in the US kind of unanimously sucked. Like if you see people reviewing it across the board and um, all the social media, people are just hating this season. So I really hope they figure out what they're doing next year and kind of recover. But if you listen to me, you started watching Love Island with season 7 of USA. I apologize. It's usually better than what they're putting out this season. This season feels like almost like Big Brother instead of Love Island. Like usually they're focusing on relationships, like they're trying to you can see people actually like enjoying people's company and trying to, be a couple. And this season just feels like people are trying to play the game in a way that it's not been played in the past. And part of that, I think, comes out of the fact that they really leaned into people with high influencer counts this year. And I think that deters very much from from what the show is really about. Because yes, everybody on Love Island is seeking fame in some way. You don't go on TV if you don't want to seek fame a little bit. But these people are really just trying to drive their numbers up and be successful influencers. And you can definitely feel the difference from last season to this season. So again, if you picked it up because of anything I've ever said, and this is the first season you've ever watched, I apologize. It's usually not this lame.
Sounds like
Um,
Love is Blind, just how it became dull after more and more
mhm,
seasons came out because people weren't really there for the right reasons.
yeah, which is with Love Island, it's kind of wild because
Yeah.
I mean, there's been so many versions of it in so many countries. There's Australia, there's Spain, there's the UK, there's US, there's a couple other ones. UK has done 13 seasons. This is the seventh season of USA. Like, there's been a lot of it done. I think some of the earlier US ones weren't great. The US, I feel like struggles because they have shortened the American season versus the UK season. The UK
Hmm.
season's something like 60 episodes. Like it's long. It's like 12 weeks long. And I think the American version is only like 40 weeks or 40 episodes, sorry. And so there's definitely like things kind of get sped up and cranked through. And so it hasn't historically been as interesting, although last season was really great. And so, yeah, this is the first one that it really felt like they really did something wrong, which is impressive, like I said, because there's been so many seasons of the show.
Right.
Um,
Where do they
but
tape Love Island in the US? Do you know where?
US, they are in Fiji.
Oh, okay.
The UK, they're usually in Majorca. Um, but yeah, they're in Fiji this time, and it looks like a great place to be. It's really weird. They have a pool in this one, and nobody ever goes in the pool. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why do you have why waste the real estate on a pool and then not have anybody go in there? It's really weird. But yeah, it's yeah. I apologize on behalf of all the Love Island fans out there. This season sucked. But yeah, that otherwise, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'll be catching up on this week. It may just be Superman and Ironheart. I'll see what else is out there. I know there's a lot of stuff coming, both streaming and theatrical this year or this month. So if I don't have a ton next week, I will have some stuff the following week. So or
Cool.
do you have anything planned for the this week?
Something on television. Um, I There's so many things. So now that the Tony Awards are done, there are a lot of shows that, in terms of
Mm,
like the Broadway, right? A lot of things are closing now.
mm.
So one thing I am trying to do to see before it closes is Sunset Boulevard,
Oh, I
given
love
that.
Sunset Boulevard.
So I've never seen it, and Nicole Scherzinger won Best Actress for it, and also won
Really?
Best Revival. Yeah, for Best Actress. In a musical, or no, just back, yeah, in a musical she won
Yeah.
for this. So that's on my list. Oh Mary is also going to be on my list. Colascola is no long, well, he's the maker of it, but he was, I guess, away, and then Betty Gilpin was playing um, Mary Todd Lincoln, and then she stopped, and then Cole came back for a couple of weeks, and now Titus Burgess is playing. Oh, Mary, excuse me, Mary, Todd Lincoln, and then, which I think I'm gonna wait. So I don't watch, I've only seen like one episode, so I'm not like a huge fan, or know too much about RuPaul's Drag Race, but everyone says Jinx Monsoon is fantastic, and just Broadway in general, and just when it comes to acting. And apparently she is going to be playing Mary Todd come August and September. So I'm trying to maybe like finagle seeing Oh Mary in August or September when she's playing Mary Todd Lincoln. But in terms of shows that are on my radar, it's those two. And then I'm going to see if I can try to, it's running for another month, but John Krasinski's in a show right now called Angry Allen. It's like a one-man show.
Hmm.
It's off Broadway, but it looks good. Yeah, the show I saw last week, like I feel like that was like a one-off because usually I really enjoy plays, but we'll see. In terms of movies, if I see Superman just because I have nothing going on that weekend, I'm like, I gotta do something. And I might just like convince someone to join me. But I mean, I guess I'll see, especially if it's like rebooting as like a fresh new
Yeah.
cast and start. And it's not like you have to have seen any of the other movies before. Um, like I saw the original with Christopher Reeves, obviously,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
other than that, like I am completely clueless when it comes to Superman and
Yeah.
that
That'll make this one a
story.
good one because it really does. It requires no research. Like this,
Right.
we're starting this universe here.
Anew,
So
right.
anything that they do is starting from this point going forward.
Yeah. One thing I am looking forward to, it's not coming out until August, but Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman are going to be in
Yes,
a show.
the
You want to see that?
roses.
The Roses. It looks so good.
It's a
So
remake
of War of the Roses.
with
Yes.
Kathleen Turner and
Michael Douglas.
Michael
Is that?
Douglas,
Oh my God.
which is I haven't seen it since I was young, but I loved that movie. And like as soon as they said it was called The Roses, and you start watching this thing, I was like, I know exactly what this movie is, and I'm totally here for it. It looks
It's
like
like
so
a
much fun.
modern, updated version of it, and their last name are Roses and or Rose, right? And
Uh,
it's probably Rose, but fucking love Olivia Colman. She's one of my favorite
yeah.
actresses. She's just so good. She can do dramatic, she can do comedy, she can do no wrong. In my world, in my book, like I think her earliest thing that I had seen last year was Fleabag, so that was like a younger.
Hmm. She's the mom in Fleabag, right? That's she's.
She's the new wife of the dad, remember?
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah,
And and she's the artist and she
yeah.
does like the penis
Yeah,
art,
yeah, yeah.
remember? Such a funny scene. It's so funny.
Yeah, when she points out her dad's like immediately, and then she's like,
So awkward. So awkward, but yeah, so funny too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's just she's so talented. I think
Yeah,
the
she's
first time
amazing.
I saw her was The Favorite, which she won Best Actress for.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in I think 2018, 2019. It's just she's so and like interviewed, she's just such a gem truly and such a great like kind person. You could just tell she's just so funny and natural and genuine. Anyway, I love her clearly. And then Benedict Cumberbatch, this is a very unique role for him, but I love to see him like try something new out like
Yeah.
this, right? Like instead of like his typical serious roles or seeing him in a more action-packed film, this is more of a comedic side of him
Yeah,
clearly.
very much
So,
so. I think this one is going to probably be funnier than the original. Like, not that the
oh,
original wasn't funny,
100%.
but this looks like a comedy. So it's going to
Kate
be
McKinnon's in it, and clearly it's a comedy.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
in the cast. So funny. So yeah, I want to see that. Hopefully it does well. Well, I'm gonna see it regardless, but I think it's yeah, I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited for that. So that's
Yeah.
coming out in August. That's something I will see and hopefully get enough interest from the women's group that I organize events for. I hopefully they my main thing is I don't know if any like a lot of people have seen the original stuff because like my parents got me into like a lot of the 80s movies
Hmm.
and 90s movies when I was younger, and oftentimes when I'll reference some of these films, total blanks on some friends' faces. I'm like, "What do you mean you weren't exposed to Forrest Gump and the Brat Pack and like blah, blah, blah." Like I'll just say classics and people are just no clue,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Did you see the original War of the Roses?
"Yeah, oh yeah."
I'm really curious to see how this one ends because that one ends it definitely has
But they
a
have a
specific ending.
chandelier in the previews, but like not as big clearly or as open as that one. And I
Yeah.
feel like they're not as like I mean, they're rich, but I don't think they're like as like that was a very typical like rich 19 like what that was 80s, right?
Yeah.
80s,
Yeah. It was
90s,
80s. Yeah.
80s like manor, like that was a huge house. This seems like more of just like, oh, they live on the water, right? Because she's a chef, I believe, from what
I
I've
think so.
gathered.
I think that's what she was. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know, but I am so stoked for that. I think it's, yeah, I remember when I was watching the previews, I was like, the roses, like War of the Roses, and no one was excited. I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
no one,
Yeah. I
no
was
one
the same
gets
way. The
it.
first time I saw the trailer, I was like, I know exactly. This
What
is
they're
War of the
doing.
Roses. Yep.
Fantastic. So I'm excited. They got a great cast going for that. So yeah, what else do I have going on? I don't think I have like, is there anything? I'm sure there's other stuff. There's got to be other stuff and shows that I'll want to catch. I heard I still have I know Andrew and you watched The Bear. Apparently, what is it, season three's out now of The Bear?
I think it's season
Or is it
4.
four?
And I haven't watched that yet. I may try to watch that before next weekend.
Is that like are people talking a lot about it? Is it getting good buzz?
I haven't heard as much, and I definitely a few things I've seen say that maybe this is finally kind of wearing on people because
Okay.
it is a high drama show for sure, and I think in a lot of ways it sort of lacks a positivity to it. Like it's definitely it's great. Like the drama is excellent, and
Mm-hmm.
especially if you have experience in restaurants, I think that adds a layer to it that people that
Gotcha.
have never been in fine dining or anything like that wouldn't necessarily understand.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always for me, it's always been good, and the acting's been phenomenal. But I can see where if it doesn't grow a little bit, like the story
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get a little happier, it's gonna get old for people.
Gotcha.
So we'll see. I need to watch this one and see if it's, as bleak as um, people are kind of saying it is. So,
Yeah. Mm.
but it is a good show. Like it is really good, and I think,
Mm-hmm.
every season it has at least one episode that is like Emmy nomination worthy, like somebody's gonna win. Jamie Lee Curtis has been absolutely incredible on it. John Bernthal is incredible when he shows up. They're kind of in their guest actor moments.
Right.
Um,
And then Jeremy White's won at least once or twice, right?
he's won. I think Ayo Edebiri. I think she was at
She's
least
won
up.
too.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
she
she
won.
won. I think she won last year.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, the performances are incredible. The quality of the show is, you know, impeccable. Like it's so well made. It's
Hmm.
just a question of, is that much drama, tenable for that long? Like, can you put up with that much drama for as long as they're doing it?
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll add to my list. We'll see if I get to it. That's the other thing too. Once it's like past a certain amount of seasons, I'm like, I missed the boat. It's too much of a time commitment. That's why sometimes I prefer going to a show or movies because I'm like, and I mean, for Squid Games, I had stuck with it from the beginning, so I'm like, great, just diving in where I left off, so it's not as much of a commitment. But yeah, there's some good stuff out there, and there's only going to be more good stuff. And with the writer's strike, that's over with. I'm sure there's just more stuff that they have, like the end of 2025, 2026. These are going to be good years for just film, series, etc. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what's being put out there.
Yeah. Cool. All right, then. Well, then, with that, I will say thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.